Yeah, dude. So a lot of my stuff, a lot of my hobbies were actually just all hand-me-downs from my older brother. So he was into skateboarding, obviously into Pokemon, a lot of the video games he was into. So like most of the music on my phone is all punk music, just because he was definitely in that scene growing up in the 90s. I was born 96, my brother's 92, so he was a lot more saturated with the 90s stuff. Because it's weird to think I'm right on the border of millennial and Gen Z, but I feel like I have nothing, like nothing in common with Gen Z at all. So yeah, dude, my brother got me into Pokemon. I would play on the way to practice growing up when I was a kid, because I swam club at Bowls, and it was like a 45-minute car ride. So I would just be ripping Game Boy Advance Pokemon, dude. It was honestly so sick.
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
All right, it is time to get it. Once again, the Meelypod Hobby Podcast coming at you from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. We are brought to you in part by Meldon Law. They won't back down, and this is the GOAT episode, number 23. If you have to say his name, then just stop listening right now, because we all know who that is, and we've got a GOAT coming on as our guest today. Caeleb Dressel will join us, 10-time medalist, 9 of those gold at the Olympics, certainly a former Florida Gator, and just known worldwide of all the great things he done. Actually, the third highest medal total for a male swimmer ever.
Yeah.
Pretty special. He looks good in a Speedo. This guy looks good in a Speedo. That is Jameel Muhammad. I am Jeff Cardozo, and we are happy to be with you once again.
Well, I heard Caeleb was gonna give you your flowers, because he modeled his body type after you.
That makes sense.
Is what he said. So
fair enough.
So we'll see when we talk to him. But yeah, I'm excited, Jeff. This is the end of the year, right? We're in November. Happy election week for everybody. I know, go out and vote. It's our awesome right, and the things that we have in this country that so many people have fought for. So we're gonna have some questions here in honor of that. But I think moving forward to, you look forward to this year. We're 8 weeks away from the end of the year, and we'll be in 2025. So to think just even more of the hobbies come in that time, it's just been amazing this past year alone. So
let's start there, because I think at the beginning of November, obviously once this election week is over and all the things sort of settle down, I'm already getting emails about these deals on air fryers and televisions and all these other things that they want me to do for Black Friday. Is this like a time where it's maybe good to buy cards? Do you guys at the shop do things? Do we see on the internet that it's a good time to maybe take advantage?
I always tell people, save your money for like November with cards, because I think all the online wholesalers, you think about the Blowouts and the Steel Cities and the Dave and Adams have tons of sales. All the card shops, that I know, the good card shops that want to do stuff for their communities have huge Black Friday weekend sales. And I encourage you to go support those local shops. Yeah. You have Black Friday, you have Small Business Saturday, you have Cyber Monday. There's so many ways to support shops. Most shops have websites now, so go out and support them, because they're going to have great deals on stuff. And then we've noticed too, this with breaks, is that people are a little bit more open to spending on the breaks, this time. They want to treat themselves, which is fine. So I love it, because you get to see more stuff ripped open, more crazy pulls for people, and you get good prices on stuff. So it is that time. If you've been sitting on some money under the mattress and you want to come off of it, go get you some boxes.
All right. So speaking of breaks, then, as we stick to our kind of a voting theme and where things may rank and elections and all that other stuff, Saquon the other day, who I have in fantasy, obviously he's been really, really good, and
against me
in
this
one of
week.
Those leagues.
Yep.
So it's and beat him, by the way, if you guys care about that. But he catches a ball, jukes a dude, breaks his ankles, and leaps another guy, probably breaks that guy's heart. All these things are going on. So do you put that in maybe, I don't know where Saquon is, one of the top, certainly in the game now, but I mean, as we continue to see now what he's doing with the Eagles, maybe all-time one of the great running backs ever.
Like if that was like on a ballot, and like you were to say, is that one of the best running back moves ever?
Yeah.
I'd have a hard time not voting for that, because I think with that play, I mean, there's one play that comes to mind for me, which is Marshawn Lynch in Beast Mode, and they called it the Beast Quake or whatever it was in Seattle, because I remember watching that live, and just how much that impression it had on me, and that type of run, and just how powerful, and it was a playoff game. This game didn't have as much significance. You're playing the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are missing some tackles, but I think that the uniqueness of it is how he was able to cap that off with a reverse jump hurdle over somebody that no one's ever seen in the NFL. And I think his coach even said it, like, it's so cool that kids are now going to all be trying to recreate this and talk about this and play it on Madden and do it. And like, it's a generational thing. So you look at Saquon as a running back, I look at Odell as with that catch that kind of defined him. This is going to be that. And again, it wasn't on the Giants. It's on the Eagles, which even stings a little bit more, I'm sure. But I would put that as number 2 for me if I were to vote.
Wow, okay.
I think I'd put Beast Mode number 1. I think that was just such a special run. But gosh, it's almost like a 1A and a 1B because it's such a unique just
because there were several moves as opposed to just the one. And you in the video game world and hitting the B button, the spin, and all these other things, you gotta control that pretty good.
They're gonna have to come up with a reverse hurdle now.
Yeah.
That's a new thing that the game developers are gonna have to make. But shout out to Saquon and what he's been able to do with his career in Philadelphia. Thinking about voting here, I'd like to ask your thoughts on baseball.
Okay.
We got a chance this year to see Otani do remarkable things again. Now he's got a ring.
Yeah.
I'd love to know if you would put Otani on your ballot as a top 5 baseball player today. Like, does he have to continue in this, or would you automatically put him in a top 5 today? If you had to vote.
No, that's a great question. I think it's then maybe the comparison to Trout, because they were. Trout was so great at the beginning, but maybe has fallen off a little bit. So you certainly want to see him sustain it, but I don't think that that's going to be a problem for him. And the cool part is he didn't even really have a great World Series. Of course, gets hurt, and so he's hindered a little bit. And other guys stepped up, but it just shows you just how great that team was, but what he did to get him over the hump. Because obviously they're in it every single year. They have all this payroll and superstars and all these other things, but they couldn't get there. So him bringing them there, I think, that's where I regret, because I think when we started this podcast, several months ago, one of the questions was, do I need to get some Shohei stuff now? Because if they win it, is it going to go up? And I would assume it's probably already done that, because not only do you have this United States audience, but certainly the audience overseas and Japan and all the ratings and everything that was involved in that, and just the smiles that he had afterwards. He obviously is an elite baseball player, and I'm certainly top 5 now. And then when you talk about just the longevity, if he can continue that, he'll be certainly that when his career's said and done.
So you say it's kind of like maybe you don't vote, like you're not sure if put him in the top 5 yet, but if it was like 10 years later, continue. I see.
Definitely going to be.
It's a future ballot. It's like a mail-in ballot for 10 years. You'd put him up there.
I'll make that happen.
It's interesting too, like with that baseball sale, like $4.4 million for this baseball, right? It goes to the CEO group in Taiwan, and Golden's talking about it this past week, Ken Golden, and makes this big spectacle of it like he always does. But I think about that sale, that's pretty mesmerizing, right? That's an incredible sale that shows me the fandom outside of our country, right? In the Asian market. So I think because of that, for me, he's the hobby side of it.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way to go about buying Otani right now. I mean, just holding his stuff in the off season, stuff does come down. So if you want, buy in the off season, because it's going to be probably 10%, 15% less after 2 or 3 months after this kind of the World Series win. So Christmas
presents, everybody. That's what you need to ask for.
The gift that keeps on giving, right?
That's
there.
Right.
Shohei Otani rookies. So I'm stoked to see in the hobby where he goes, and again, does he come back and pitch?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. And I mean, if he does pitch this year, he probably doesn't get the 50-50, and then you don't have the $4 million ball and all the things that are going on with that. All right, I see you're wearing your Bucks hat.
I had to.
Disappointed again with the Chiefs pulling that thing off, and they just continue to win games like that. And Mahomes isn't sexy, especially you sit there and talk about fantasy. He's not relevant. He's outside the top 12 probably, so he's almost not a guy you start every single week, but all they do is win, 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 no matter what. Look, I can rap, and I can get after it. But
we'll see what the comment section says about that.
They are there, and they just continue to win. If you're going to vote and put some money on a three-peat, how you feeling about that?
It's a great question. I last night, I think I would vote yes, simply because I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to really change that dynamic of their offense. And Kelsey opened the field. Kelsey had another big game. He's had games at Arrowhead with Taylor there, and he hasn't had these kind of stats. So I think, but Pacheco coming back, I think with this veteran presence you have now, where he can just throw the ball up to D-Hop,
Yeah.
and bring it down, you're going to start to see, I think, Andy Reid even come with some more crazy plays. I think they're kind of getting the momentum is carrying right now, because they're going to get, like I said, Pacheco back. They have this new receiver that I think has been the missing piece. That defense looked great last night for my Bucks. I have to wear the hat because just like the Gators, valiant efforts these past week. If you could have a win as a loss, that was kind of how it was. Baker Mayfield's face with the coin toss was just like made me think about Josh Allen on the coin toss with Mahomes. Like, dang it, I lost a coin toss, and you know what's going to happen. So can't do anything about it. So I would say, I think the Lions are really tough this year. I think they're coached really well, and it's almost like a storybook kind of season unfolding. But I'm going to say yes, because I think it could happen.
Okay.
Now, the AFC is, I think, one of the toughest this year in the AFC. I think you're seeing a spread of talent with the Ravens, with the Bills, and now, of course, and the Texans.
Yeah.
There's 3 teams that I think could beat them at any time. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, and if they keep winning, they are at home the entire time, and certainly tough to win at Arrowhead in the winter and the cold. And we saw that last year with the Dolphins going in there and playing in minus 16 and couldn't handle it.
His arm literally iced off, frostbited.
Wasn't ready for it by any means.
No, definitely not. So thinking about college football, Jeff, and voting,
okay.
I've been starting to really get into it a little bit more, just watching, because this year, I think 12-team college playoff team set up. I would like to hear from you, if you had to vote and you had your little write-in ballot on the ballot and you could write in, I want to know how many teams you think are going to make the college football playoff from the one and only SEC.
Ooh.
And I want to know which teams those are. So you have to write them in on your ballot.
Well, it's changed. I think when you looked at the SEC before the year started, you're probably saying 5 teams are going to get in. But I think that's what, there's been other teams across the country actually play pretty well and, be considered. So I think that knocks it off. And then they're knocking each other off.
Yeah.
Look at what's going to happen this weekend. You got LSU, Alabama. Whoever loses that game is probably eliminated. That's their third loss, and that's it. So I would think the other one probably gets in. Although if it's LSU, then I don't know. I mean, the way Florida's playing, I think Florida's got a chance to beat LSU at home, and that knocks them out. So then maybe both of those are gone. I think Texas is probably pretty safe because they've got a pretty cake schedule. And, whether or not DJ Lagway plays this week, I honestly think, look at what Georgia did to Texas, and then look at what Florida did to Georgia.
Sure.
And Georgia was just way more physical than Texas was. And honestly, Florida was more physical than Georgia was.
Yep.
So if you can do that and go into Texas, I don't know if it's really that hard to say that Florida could go into Texas and win. And if that happens, that's 2 losses. But Texas had a crappy schedule, so they might not get in with 2. Yeah. So probably when it's all said and done, 3 get in. I think Georgia for sure.
Okay.
Tennessee for sure. And then there's going to be one other sneak in. I just don't know who that's going to be yet.
So it's between
LSU,
LSU,
kind of a cop-out answer.
Bama, Texas,
probably
on the other side.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, I thought you would have said 4.
Yeah,
SEC always gets a lot of love, but then last year I think we kind of saw, that they didn't. So it'll be interesting to kind of see this 12-team, how it shakes down, how it all pans out.
And the fascinating part is, look at this Army situation. So they could play the conference championship game, win that, and then they're the Army-Navy game next week after that. And what if they lose?
Yeah.
Before then the playoffs start, so then you have that conference champion that probably should have gotten in. They're going to re-rank the highest, but then all of a sudden after the championship game, they're still playing another game, and then may not get in. So bedlam is about to happen, but I think that's what makes it fun. I think there's certainly a lot more relevant games now this time of year, and I'm certainly thinking from the card world and all that standpoint, the hobby standpoint, that it's going to at least put eyes on more teams that you've never heard of, and then that could make some of these college brands and things that go out even more interesting.
I just want to see Colorado make the final, just to make everything cause mayhem. That'll be it. Bowman Chrome University comes out soon, football, and I love this product because in Gainesville and a lot of the SEC towns, other card shops I talk to, it's such a cool release because there's so many people who love, they're diehard college football fans. Yeah. And with the Fanatics licensing, the cards look good now, right? They're in their teams. They have all the accolades on the card. So moving forward in this set, we just got our allocations and we're looking forward to it. They're going to be putting out not just a hobby box this year and a Breaker's Delight and a blaster. They also have a jumbo hobby box, and they also have a mega box.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of different iterations for Bowman Chrome Football University. And to me, I think we're in that state with ushering that, if it's not already here, it used to be that college cards were always super cheap. People didn't want them. I think you're starting to see a little bit more of a value increase. And so, you think about these teams and the 12 teams that make the college football playoff. How will some of those cards come out? Some of those guys may not be so pronounced. You go buy a box, put that card away, and now all of a sudden, I was talking to a buddy who was at the Upstate Card Show, and he had bought a case a while ago with his son, and they put all the cards away. They're going through the box, and on the bottom of the box is a Malik Neighbors auto. That's $175 because really Malik Neighbors, that 2 years ago, was kind of overshadowed.
Sure.
So it's just really funny to see just these kinds of things that can pop out with these college players. So big release coming out, and I think it really tends to play into the college football playoff.
Well, that'll be awesome. And as you mentioned, card shows. I hear there's some news with the national.
Yeah.
Maybe expanding a little bit.
Yeah, so the National always is this thing where it's so condensed. We got to get you out there one year.
Yeah.
Maybe this year.
Okay.
It's just so just condensed. And when I think about the National, there's always a lot of dealers who miss out. And so it's not a huge number, but they're opening up to 75 dealers for the National that have been on a wait list for years, and they're going to put them on the second level, which then makes me think, wow, are we going to get to a point where the Chicago National the next 3 years we're going to have 2 levels of the National, which I think is probably what's going to happen because to satisfy that requirement. Now, will that make a lot of old heads mad and people upset because it's not on one level and, now you're kind of undervaluing some of those spaces? But I just think that's where the hobby's at. And I've heard it said by many talking heads and stuff that the Nationals they've got to change. They've got to increase. They got to compete with Fanatics. They got to do some more things so that we're not missing out on really what is the best hobby in the world with card collecting.
Well, that is great. And speaking of great, Caeleb Dressel is next. So really looking forward to a conversation with the 10-time medalist, 9-time gold medal winner. You'll hear it right after this on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, Meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel still here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and our next guest has been here a few times, and certainly he's been around Gainesville a bunch. Back in the day, Caeleb Dressel has now joined us, and we are happy to have the 10-time Olympic medalist, 9 of those gold. That is 9 more that Jameel and I have. Although in video games, we probably
don't have it.
That is right. Caeleb, what's up, man? Good to see you.
How y'all doing?
Yeah, doing great. I see the hat you're representing, which is was what it's all about.
Oh yeah, dude. I actually got this from, I don't know if y'all heard of him, but Dave's Freshly Used. He sells a bunch of old vintage Gator gear, and I bought like way too much stuff from him, and he threw in the hat for free.
Awesome. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with Dave over the years, so it's tremendous. And obviously getting to see you in Paris was tremendous. Like when you get back from like that, something like that, and just the hard training and everything that you're going through, like do you just grab a bag of Fritos or some Oreos or something and just like be able to like veg out, or just chill a little bit?
Well, for me personally, no. It's actually kind of crazy. So all I crave is to basically go like try and get hurt and to be sore in something other than swimming. So yeah, right back from Paris, there's a lot of pickleball. I have actually a weight room at my house in the pole barn. So definitely just doing some dumb stuff in the weight room. Stuff that I can't typically do in season. I kind of just go crazy with it. But yeah, it's definitely nice being sore with something other than swimming. I just have a hard time sitting down anyways.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's actually for myself, it's actually quite the opposite. A lot of fishing trips I've done. So yeah, a few camping trips. Yeah, so I think I'm just as busy. I'm just not swimming.
The kids, Caeleb, now have this term where they say, I didn't have this on my bingo card. So I'm wondering, man, if it was ever on your bingo card, that you would think that your family, your wife, your son August would be sitting alongside Snoop Dogg at the Olympics rooting you on. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that would happen?
That was not on my bingo card, not at all. I quite honestly, I don't think if you'd have told me probably 10 years ago, we can go further back than that. Probably 20 years ago, if I thought I'd be in the Olympics or that would be a goal of mine, I would have said no. I did so many different sports growing up. I was a weekend warrior and plenty of different stuff. But yeah, I think for my career as a swimmer and just my life in general, I definitely like to take it one day at a time. I get interested in a bunch of different hobbies. Something new every week. I think life's a very fascinating journey, and I try to saturate myself with as many options as I can get a hold of. So swimming has definitely been the front runner for that. So I think that's why I look so many other places to kind of get my fix with new and exciting stuff, because swimming has been definitely the most mundane and the biggest staple of my life since age 4.
Sure. Speaking about all these other sports, I think one of the unique things for me of, being a pitcher at Florida back in the day, it's the time when Mike Miller's here and just all these other guys that are great athletes around, and you're hanging out with them at parties or just in the food hall or obviously in the weight room. And Javon Curse, and he can certainly squat a little bit more than I
Sure,
did.
a little bit more
I was
probably.
embarrassed back in the day. But I wonder about that the same for you. We had Brady Singer on last week, and you guys were in school the same time. How much do you interact with those other athletes that are tremendous? I mean, it seems fun to be able to pick each other's brains, or the coaches are able to pick each other's brains, and just how special that is of all the great athletes at Florida.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the reasons I committed here. I remember walking through campus, and I didn't want to just be surrounded by great swimmers, which obviously UF has a great swim program. And when I was at UF, my time under Coach Troy, he had produced the swimmers: Connor Dwyer, Elizabeth Beisel, Ryan Lochte, super long list. So I trusted Troy with my career in that sense. But then walking through campus, you're looking at all the national championship banners from obviously football, basketball. Then you have track and field, you have gymnastics, you have softball, you have baseball. So I didn't want to just be surrounded by swimmers. I'm actually a pretty introverted person, but I think just being surrounded by that dynamic and the standard being excellency and being the best in the country, I want to be surrounded by athletes that were like-minded in that sense. And I haven't had too much crossover. I was actually a little angel in college. I never went out. I never went to any parties. I was a good boy. I know what my priorities were, and it didn't really interest me. I wasn't boring by any means, but that was just one thing that I didn't really want to get too into.
Sure.
But yeah, there was a little bit of crossover with some sports, but swimming's we have like 70 something people between the guys and the girls. So it's like, you have a hard time keeping up with the team as is. But yeah, I know with Grant Holloway, I've definitely picked his brain with his hurdling, and if there's any crossover with swimming. And there actually is a little bit. I've asked him about his training and whatnot, but I think that was probably the closest person I had was Grant, asking questions and stuff like that.
Grant, a friend of the shop, friend of us. He's just another awesome guy. Just thinking about all these incredible athletes that this is in the past year. So props to him, his gold medal, and as well as you and what you've been doing. You mentioned 70 people there. I'm thinking we might have a little bit more than that at our event we have at the shop in a few weeks. I know I'm really excited about it. We're gonna have Caeleb at the shop. He's going to be there signing autographs at 1 p.m. that day. We also have PSA there. It's our trading day. We're going to have food trucks, really big community event. But Caeleb, when I was talking to you about this and we were planning this out, you said, oh man, PSA is going to be there. And so I got to know, do you grade cards? Do you have anything graded, or do you have any collectibles?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit. Only Pokemon cards, but I sent in a lot The first time I did it was last year. I sent in probably about 20 something cards to get graded through PSA, and I have my incognito eBay account that no one. I'm not going to
Nice.
say what it is because it's kind of fun. I feel like a completely normal person on that account. But yeah, I've definitely done some trading. I've bought cards on eBay. I've sent some into PSA. Right now, I am very particular about what cards I keep, but I've got only five graded ones at the moment.
That's
all tens.
You mentioned
all tens. Wow.
Oh man, you must. I mean, Olympic gold medalist, and he knows how to grade cards.
Yeah.
So that's the complete package right there. I got to know if you just mentioned Pokemon. Do you have a favorite water Pokemon?
Well, if I was going to start just from the original 151, if I'm going to start with, between Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, I obviously pick Squirtle every time.
Okay.
My older brother, he's 32. He would always pick Charmander. So we're actually going to have, when my son is old enough to start crawling a little more efficiently, we're going to have a full starter Pokemon choosing day. So I have all the stuffed animals picked out, and then we'll set them up and see who he's going to pick to be a starter. If he picks Bulbasaur, it would be pretty magical, yeah.
Wow.
This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So you started kind of when that originated, right? Like, what made you get into it?
Sorry, they're just they're back from taking a little break out there. So I'll set up outside. This is good?
Yeah,
you're
looks great.
You're great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, dude. So a lot of my stuff, a lot of my hobbies were actually just all hand-me-downs from my older brother. So he was into skateboarding, obviously into Pokemon, a lot of the video games he was into. So like most of the music on my phone is all punk music, just because he was definitely in that scene growing up in the 90s. I was born 96, my brother's 92, so he was a lot more saturated with the 90s stuff. Because it's weird to think I'm right on the border of millennial and Gen Z, but I feel like I have nothing in common with Gen Z at all. So yeah, dude, my brother got me into Pokemon. I would play on the way to practice growing up when I was a kid, because I swam club at Bowls, and it was like a 45-minute car ride. So I would just be ripping Game Boy Advance Pokemon, dude. It was honestly so sick. It was so sick.
I mean, Pokemon. So many people don't realize, like, it really was like what so many people is their escape growing up in the 90s, 2000s. Like, and so PSA, they'll be at the event. You'll have to bring your tens to show off to everybody and just be like, yo, I did this by myself. Put that right next to your gold medals. Yeah, it's amazing to think, like, the crossover and from what the hobby is, right? You grew up playing video games, and now, as an adult with a little guy, you're going to be transcending that video game, the collecting, the hobby, all into, his upbringing. And he's going to have his starter day, and you're going to grade cards for some more. So I think it's a full circle moment for sure.
No doubt. And Caeleb, speaking of tens, obviously 10 medals. Where are the gold medals? Are they stuffed in like the underwear drawer somewhere, or you got them on display?
Actually, not far away. Well, at the moment, dude, just because with the house demo going on, they're in my they're behind. Wait a second, hold on. Where are they? Oh, they're in my they're in my nightstand, but like the back of it, I did have them actually upstairs in the game room. It was next to I have this, it's so cool. I have like a giant Lego Bowser, and a Saturn V rocket actually. And they're in between that. So they actually kind of were on display, which my therapist actually made me hang them up and put them on display. That wasn't my idea. It's not really my style. But yeah, right now they're tucked away in my nightstand.
Okay. Fair enough. You're doing some renovations, so you're allowed to.
Yeah, you can have them kind of just hanging out where they need to be.
Yeah. Speaking of therapists, I know you're big on the mental health stuff and awareness and some struggles and things that have gone on. So, I mean, when you think about, so many athletes and so many youngsters and the things that they have to go through, what are some of the things you try to say to some of these younger athletes and obviously people that are looking up to you to battle through some things?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to honor what you have at a DNA level. So for myself, if I get beat, of course, just like a majority of people they're going to be upset. They're going to go to bed thinking about it. They might have a hard time sleeping. If I have a bad practice, if I lose a race, that's the case for me. I think it's acknowledging that part of me and not straying too far away from being critical of myself, because that's what comes naturally. And that's what has given me success. But then also being able to turn it off and being proud of myself for things that typically I might not be able to see because I'm too critical of myself. So I think finding that balance of not straying away from who you really are, it's hard to escape that, perfectionism, perfectionist word from myself. But I think keeping that in one hand, and then in the other hand, also being proud of myself for making it through a tough swim meet, or finding those things throughout, a week long event in Paris, being able to say, oh, I'm proud of that. Here's where I feel like I could have done better. Here's the things I'm not happy with, and here's the things that I did really well with. So I think, making yourself proud, and then also, you might walk away from something a little pissed off, and that's okay, a little upset, a little angry, or it could just be all, rainbows and daisies the whole time you're at it. But I think just really giving yourself a pass sometimes, but then also acknowledging what you have at a DNA level, because it's hard to escape that, and that's what makes you tick.
No.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, just think about young people in general, the stressors of just athletics and where it's at now. And I grew up in the 90s, and I think about young kids now playing. So thank you for that. I think it'll go a long way. So we were treated.
Oh, my bad. I was going to say, dude, nowadays it's even crazier. There's no more, it's barely amateur sports anymore. You're going from basically middle school into professional sports.
Yeah.
So it's tough for these guys. And when I was growing up in swimming, I was being slowly introduced. I had like an IV drip of what social media was, and got slowly introduced. And now you can wake up, you're a high school recruit, or your last name is Manning, and then wham, you're all over the place. It's insane. That guy, Archie, just for example, he was famous before he ever threw a football for Texas. So it's definitely, I think, a tougher time. We're in the Wild West of all this NIL crap, but it's definitely a more interesting time. And I think kids now have a much harder time just because of how saturated social media is. There wasn't a slow wean. It wasn't a slope. It was just thrown right into everything. So yeah, I'm very thankful for the time I grew up in, and I still struggled with it. So I can't imagine these kids nowadays.
Yeah, I work with a lot of athletes who deal in NIL, just even with Tops. They're doing all these autograph signings and stuff with stickers and stuff. But thinking a little bit about that and what you said, we got treated this year to a set in the hobby. It was 2024 Topps Chrome Olympic hopefuls. And so they had, you, Ledecky, Grant, just bringing up Bobby, all these guys that are just from this area.
Yeah.
And we talked to, like we mentioned Brady Singer last week. What was it like to see yourself on a baseball card kind of thing? But as a swimmer, there's not a lot of swimmer cards. You know what I mean? They're not like they're on on the Walmart shelf or at a GameStop. You're not gonna get a lot of swimmer cards. So I wondered for you, when you first saw those cards, and you were kind of I think they had like 4 or 5 different poses of you in these cards. Like, what were your initial thoughts? And then you signed a bunch. Did you have any favorite cards that you might have stashed away?
So Topps didn't let me keep any of them, but it's a very very legit process. They sent me basically hundreds of these cards, the ones that had to be autographed, obviously, with pages of directions. And the most nervous I was they had the I forget the actual names of the sets, but they basically had like bronze, silver, gold, and then there was one card, one of one. And I was like, dude, if I mess up the signature on this card and just ruin some little kid or some grown adult opening this card, and it's like I mess up the signature or smudge the ink, I was like, I'm not gonna forgive myself. So I don't know if that one's gotten pulled. I didn't see it at all. But yeah, it's definitely a fun process signing all of them. But no, I know swimming's not the biggest sport in the world. Really until every 4 years. That's just how it works. I'm used to it, and I know it's not the most exciting sport. That's not why I'm in it. I do it because I love to do it, and it's a very, very fun community. We have a close community, and it's kind of fun keeping it that way. But yeah, it's definitely weird seeing, the stats on the back. I think one of them, actually, I don't know if it was Topps or not, but I think they did get my height wrong in a good way. I think they said I was like 6'3" or something.
Hey,
I was like,
nice.
hell yeah, we can, we'll keep bumping it up. But yeah, it's definitely strange, very humbling. And then it's just pretty cool. I think I want to get my hands on some of those just for when I'm done swimming. Like, maybe my son will believe me. Like, dude, I was on a card. Please trust me on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna have guys coming into the signing event with Pokemon cards, or no, they're gonna want to trade their 101 for your Pokemon cards. So watch out for those. They're called superfractors, by the way, Kaler. That's the 101 kind of gold super card. Yeah, superfractors. And I think I did see you had a duel signed with, it wasn't Bobby Fink, it was somebody else, and it sold for I think $860.
Wow.
101. Yeah. So, and I don't even think your main superfractor was pulled, which I would imagine being more than that. So it's pretty cool.
Still out there.
I stole it.
Keep looking for it. And it's funny you say that about the height and weight, because I remember, we used to try to talk the SIDs and sports information guys. Hey, in the media guide, make it an extra inch and 20 more pounds, so you look a little more jacked.
Extra
Day.
Beef.
Yeah. Speaking of all those Olympians and different things, I know a couple of weeks ago you guys got to be back on the field and get honored, in Gainesville. And I know you've done that before, but how cool is that just to obviously be around the crew that, went to the Olympics and a part of those great athletes, but just to sit there and look around the stadium and there's 90,000 people yelling and screaming. And I'm sure it's a pretty surreal moment.
Yeah, especially at a night game. I mean, the night games in Gainesville, they definitely hit different than those nooners or the 3:30 games. So that was really special, being able to partake in that in the Swamp, with my fellow Gator Olympians, which is a crazy thing to say. I mean, how much of us were lined up. But going back to why I originally committed here, 10 years ago, was because I want to be surrounded by that. It wasn't just good swimming. I wanted every ounce of this program to be geared towards, greatness. And what does that look like? Are we going to have the support? And every sport, I feel like, does have that here at UF. They constantly want the best coaches. They want us to be the best. And I believe this is the place to do it, especially at an Olympic level, because you have some colleges who, it's good football, it's good basketball. And then there's some programs where they have a lot of good sports, but they're missing the Olympic focus. But there's a reason if you walk into the pool, there's its own wall with the Gator rings on it and all the swimmers who went through UF who earned their medals while representing the Gators. And I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, pretty special to see. And since we're speaking of football, you said you were a multi-talented, different athlete guy. Grant Holloway, you mentioned him. He was a stud in football and almost, went to play football, didn't come run track, and, Mouse convinced him to come here. But could you have been a stud in any other sport?
I really wanted to be receiver in football. That's the funny part. I love playing football. College football is still one of my loves till this day. I love keeping up with all the scores. I love the rankings. I love the excitement around college football, especially Gator football. I remember when I was a kid and you had to actually use iTunes. Dude, I had the Ohio State game and the Oklahoma game downloaded. I paid $20 and I had the full 2.5 hour football game as a, how old would I have been? I would have been 10. So I had them downloaded. I spent my allowance to download the football games. So I'd go back and watch them every couple of weweeks. That was the, Chris Leak, Percy Harvin when he was wearing number 8, Spikes, Dallas Baker, dude. Yeah. Florida football has been a huge part of my life, a lot of core memories. And I always loved playing football growing up, loved being receiver. But I could never leave swimming. I'm glad I didn't. I probably would have gotten rocked, dude. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm tough enough. I feel like you got to have years and years and years of just getting used to taking that beating, and I certainly didn't have it. So it's working out all right, but still definitely a college football fanatic.
Nice.
All-time favorite receiver? This is kind of an intro to our rapid fire segment here. Do you have an all-time favorite receiver?
For UF.
It could be pros or college. Whatever you choose.
I will say I had a Sean Alexander. He's a running back, but I had a Sean Alexander jersey when I was a kid. Number 30. Yeah, number 37, dude. So that was the only professional jersey that I had, but I really, one of the most famous plays was Ike Hilliard. That step back. I think it was against FSU. Was that game?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that was when I was like, I would have just been born, but I was definitely getting into the highlights. But I liked watching Riley Cooper. He was really fun to watch, him and Tebow together. But yeah, I'd probably have to give it to Percy Harvin just because he was all over the field. He never just had one position. But yeah, number one, Percy Harvin. not freshman year.
Yeah,
number
not
8.
number 8. Yeah.
Mercy
Yeah,
Percy,
yeah.
man. The guy, he actually, backstory for the shop. He was our first, when we opened the shop here in Gainesville in 2018, he was our first autograph guest. And I actually couldn't even get a hold of him. I got a hold of his sister, and she convinced him to do it. And I remember like giving a hug at the end, taking a picture. I mean, that guy was just jacked, but I mean, they looked like twigs for his legs, but they weren't. They were just, just a specimen, you know what I mean? An awesome player for the Gators. Well, man, this is a joy talking to you, and we always close out every one of our interviews with a rapid fire segment. It's brought to you by local business, Titan MRI, and we have some fun with this. So anything that comes to mind, at Caeleb's mind, I know you're a quick guy, you're fast in the pool, so this will be fun for you. I'm just gonna start sprouting out some quick questions. You ready for this, Caeleb?
I'm ready.
All right, man. Who's faster, Albert the alligator or Caeleb Dressel?
Me. Yeah, I was gonna ask like what, running or swimming. I still got him. Yeah.
You got him. You own him. I got it. Albert, you got to put some work in the gym. What percentage of people actually knew that your Halloween costume was from The Hangover?
I don't know. I didn't read the comments. I'm gonna go with 100%. If you don't know what that's from, then you got to get out. 100.
Yeah.
It better been 100%.
You better know. Go check out his Instagram. You'll see it's an awesome, good way to incorporate a little August as well. All right. What's your most memorable Olympic gold medal?
I mean, it's hard to beat number 1. It's hard to beat number 1, dude. And I hate to say that because all of them means something so much and so different. But number 1, dude. Yeah.
Yep.
We saw on social media another number 1 Gator. He was trying to race you in a swim off. Is there any future for Tim Tebow in the pool?
That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. For how big that guy is, he should not be able to move that well. That was terrifying, dude.
It was quite a sight to see. Again, check it out on social media. You can see that race. And who was Danny and Graham? I think were officiating the race there.
Yeah.
Good group of Gators there. All right, we know you're an artist. We know you got some ink on the body. Have you ever given someone else a tattoo? And then also, what's your favorite personal tattoo?
I have never given someone a tattoo. I would never do that. And then I have actually a tattoo that not a lot of people know about. Let's leave it at that. I have a tattoo that no one.
There we go.
Nobody knows about. Yeah.
Got it. If Caeleb was a fish, what sort of fish would the Caeleb fish be?
Dude, I'll be a cuda. I'll be a barracuda. That'd be sick. Yeah, a nice cuda.
Yeah, cuda, and you just gotta get the fangs going a little bit more. Shave the teeth or something. Cool. Follow up on that. It's during prime training time. How many calories are you consuming in a day?
Oh, dude, I don't even count them. That's I guess the great thing about swimming is I basically eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full. It's a lot. That's one of the most annoying things is like when I'm on break, like right now, I didn't eat breakfast. Honestly, I don't really eat that much when I'm not swimming. But when I'm swimming, it's annoying because you have to buy basically 2 dinners every time you go out, and it's just like a horse. You got to constantly be grazing. So it's more so just annoying, dude. But yeah, I don't know. I don't count them. That might be something fun I can start doing. My record, actually, you want to hear my record? Probably the most food I've eaten in one sitting. I went to Chick-fil-A, and I got the 30-count platter, 2 spicy chicken sandwiches, a large fry, and a milkshake. And I felt fine, dude. I'm pretty sure that was my lunch. I'm pretty sure I had dinner that night too.
That a baby.
Yeah. So that was. I mean, we can go on the Chick-fil-A menu and figure out what the calorie intake was for that. But that was just one meal.
Yeah, that's a good plug for Chick-fil-A for sure. There. So we know you like some food. We hear Chick-fil-A. I know you've been here quite a bit. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. What's your favorite thing to get here?
Oh, dude, I always get either the filet, the squid ink pasta. The shishito peppers will rock your socks, and then obviously I'm just gonna end up listing the whole menu. The shrimp and grits, those absolutely rock. And then the brunch for everyone in Gainesville who doesn't. I probably shouldn't say this because then it's gonna get more crowded. But the brunch, if you don't know about the brunch at Spurrier's, it's literally like their whole menu, and it's just set out on tables, and it's all you can eat. So you should definitely check out the brunch. And then you have the bottomless mimosas, which is a good time. Spurrier's is. I was fired up when it came out, and then I actually realized how much how much pride they actually take in the food. Because I was going to go just because it's fun. Like look at behind you guys. You could just walk around the restaurant and not even eat and have a great time there.
Yeah.
The decor is awesome, but absolutely love Spurrier's. I've been there multiple times with my family. Dude, I sat in that room. They seated me in that room one time. It is the quietest room in the world. Like I cracked the door just because it was like me, my wife, my best friend, and his bird. Dude, it was like too quiet in there. So we cracked the door just to hear some of the restaurant noise.
Ambiance,
but yeah, dude, absolutely love Spurrier's.
A little bit of a fishbowl experience when it's busy too. I'm sure everybody just looking at you outside. You can't
dude.
hear anything either. So a little strange.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Last one. Little sentimental here. When it's all said and done, Caeleb, what is one thing that you would hope to have passed on to the next generation of swimmers?
You know, I think exceeding what you think your potential is, and doing that, you need to lean on people outside of yourself. Sometimes it takes someone more than just yourself to believe in you. And I certainly had multiple people like that in my career. But yeah, I think we're all capable of more than what we think we are. We're capable of more than what we think we can do. And it takes other people, I think, in our circles. So find out what your circle is, lean on them, see how far you can take it, see if you can be the best in the world at something. And know what your job is. It might not be winning a bunch of gold medals. Maybe it's just being that perfect teammate. Maybe it's being that really good brother. Maybe it's being a really good son. Find what your roles are in life. And I think talent guides what purpose is. So I'm in a very interesting spot in my career right now, having my son. That certainly has shifted my perspective on what my purpose is, on being what I call a moth or a man of the house. I've coined that term, very proud of that term.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everyone in the world, it's not just swimming. I think we're all capable of something great. And I think it's just finding what that greatness is. And it might not mean gold medals.
Yeah, that's perfectly well said. And since you're in our inner circle, we can convince Jameel to get into a Speedo.
Gosh.
Perfect, right?
I think that,
that confidence.
Yeah, you're going to have, we're going to have to hire some therapists for that site for people if they see that. So. But no, man, thank you so much for this time. I'm looking forward to this event. It's going to be super cool. I know Gator Nation, so many people have not only just been excited about it, but everyone's asked me, they've said, is he really going to do this for free? And I said, Caeleb just said he wants to, really bless people and get to meet Gator Nation. And I just think it's so cool that you're going to be out here. So for those who are listening, November 16th, Saturday at the Meelypop shop at 1 p.m., we'll have PSA there. We'll have a trading day going on with food trucks. But more importantly, we'll have this man right here, Caeleb Dressel, and he's going to be there signing autographs and getting to know Gator Nation.
Yep.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody and checking out your shop, man. I'm fired up.
Sweet.
Caeleb, thanks, man. Always great talking to you, and wish you all the best.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
All right, that is the great Caeleb Dressel. Back with more right after this on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, we welcome you back again, episode 23, and great to have one of the goats of the swimming world, Caeleb Dressel, join us. Just a tremendous individual, and obviously a lot of passion with everything he does. And just, I think what fascinates me is, all these guests that we have on, their work ethic toward whatever they're doing, whether it's designing shoes or making websites, or obviously coming up with cool toys and cards. Just the dedication to their craft is why people are successful.
I mean, the motivation to be an Olympian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to what he's done and what he's done, put his body through, and not just the physical, but the mental side, all that, and just these years and years and years. And then, of course, the support, the families, all the things that you've done. I mean, it's quite amazing. And so just a great interview, as you guys heard. Obviously, just a humble guy, and just takes his looks after you and his body type.
That's right. And you get an opportunity to see him in shop. In just a couple of weeks. So make sure you take advantage of that. That is the Florida LSU game. Still don't know what time that game's going to be.
Actually, I think it's 3.
Okay.
I think I saw 3:30.
Oh, sweet.
3 or 3:30. So we might have to change the timing of things with the event, but we'll see. Caeleb, I'm sure. I think he'll have an awesome time. I'm just looking forward to, as you guys know, just excited about that event, and meeting fans and getting to see some cards of his. So.
All right, I'm excited about seeing some cards because I see some some baseball back here.
Yeah.
Stadium Club was like the 90s. It's like
That's back in the day.
Yeah, it was my nostalgia era. So this is like a thing again, huh?
Yeah. So Stadium Club, when they came out with it, they've always kind of had iterations of it with Fanatics, but they came out with a Stadium Club and a Stadium Club Chrome, and so Stadium Club Chrome was beautiful. It came out usually months after. It was kind of like Topps Chrome. But I think what they've realized is that there's too many brands, too many things, and so they've merged the two this year. So it's Topps Stadium Club 2024, and we're gonna rip into a box here in a second. But the one thing I've always loved about this brand is just this. I call it the cinematics of cards. It's this incredible photography. They always capture emotion, I think, really well in these cards. And I think you'll see when we rip some of this open that there's a lot of like old time kind of sweet, old school players that they throw in as well. So it's not just rookies.
Oh, sweet.
But here, we're opening a couple packs here, so you can tell me what you think.
I think you're right too, because I remember this being like the just brighter on the cards and different types of pictures back in the day. So, and it makes me think, like, how cool would that be to be just a baseball card photographer?
Sure.
Like, you're the ones like trying to take these. Oh my gosh, Dale Murphy, first card I see. My one of my favorites of all time.
That's one of your all time.
So,
and they have a cool glossy finish to them, right?
Yeah.
Nice glossy finish. Yeah, Willie Mays, kind of candid Willie Mays in the dugout. Ted Williams.
Like an old school pack.
And then you got a Nolan Schnuel right here, just the rookie card they throw in there. So these are the chromes. We got two cool chromes here.
Okay.
So Vlad Guerrero, green refractor. Not numbered, but it's just kind of a cool design. It makes you feel like you're opening Topps Chrome, but it's also kind of like this hybrid. And then there's a paper version of the reds that you get per pack. I got the Bash brother himself.
Oh, wow.
He's on the wrong team there, but no, Mark McGwire on the A's. And then you got an auto.
The autograph.
Who'd you get?
It is Hunter Goodwin.
Okay.
Don't know much about him. Looks like he's on the Rockies. So, but
to do some work.
Do a little
there.
intel. See,
get two autos per box of this product.
Goodman is. Look at that first. So
Jeff's got the
touch. First pack right on top is an autograph.
You just killing it.
Get some people to get excited.
So
but
that'll have
cool.
to, when you open more Stadium Club, when you open a box, you're gonna go for that top.
Yeah,
pack
that's where
it's gonna be.
That's where it's gonna be. But yeah, that's really unique, and I think again, if people are wondering, they might see, oh my gosh, it's Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. Like when they put older guys in like that, what is the value of those? Are they just like normal cards, or how do people look at that?
Well, there's also going to be parallels of these, right? So you're going to have a Ted Williams parallel chrome refractor numbered out of 50 gold, right? And like that card like that, people really like. So they're going to collect that. You're going to have people like Ruth and Mantle and Berra, and you're going to have like a Ted Williams, and you're going to have these names, Stan the Man, Musial, Dale, you're going to have just all these names come out. So it does kind of create a resurgence for collecting. I think you hit a sepia, what they call it, the black and white one right there. Who's that?
Ernie Banks.
Yeah.
Mr. Cub himself.
See if it's numbered. Some of them are numbered, some aren't. That's a green parallel.
Okay.
So that's cool. And then you got, was that the end?
Well, and this is like an error card. Look, it's Vlad. I think it's the one you got in the other one.
Yeah.
But look, it's the Rays roof.
Oh, it's definitely.
So it's never going to maybe be there again.
Hashtag never forget.
One of the last cards you might ever see the Rays
That's
roof.
true. That is true. I mean,
how cool is that?
The kind of things that you can get. Is that Poppy? Who's that last card?
Yep, Big Poppy.
Big Poppy in a chrome.
I love it when you call me Big Poppy. Look, I'm rapping all over the place today.
Rap is on your mind, buddy.
Speaking of that, really quick, I had a buddy show me the other day because he had remembered it, but it was a hoops card with now the Menendez brothers on that. Like, is that a card that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so the gray border hoops Mark Jackson card, and it has them on it. So during COVID, it went nuts.
Okay.
People paid $100 for that card. It was stupid, and then came back down. But then they've also found another card that has the Menendez brothers in it as well, because during that spree, they just went courtside in a bunch of games. So there's a couple cards. It's kind of one of these kind of, faux pas. I mean, just kind of something people enjoy to collect. If serial killers or guys who kill their parents are your thing. But I guess, it's all coming up again because they're going to, I think I heard that they're going to be let go, right? Or they're going to be.
Yeah, well, that's everybody's, vouching for it. Of course, the Netflix special
the Netflix special.
Put it out there and everybody's watching it and seeing what the story was.
Yeah, so it's, you never know what you'll find in packs. I think that we had a really cool one before with, there was a John Morant rookie with, oh man, his name is escaping me, a rapper who died, but he was in the back audience, and that card went for a ton. So there's things like that show up in cards. I think it's fun. It makes it, intriguing for people to collect. Look at that. It looks like you.
Yeah, Christy Mathewson
in color, too.
Yeah.
So,
Willie Mays.
It's reversed. What is this?
Shohei.
Power
Packed.
That's sweet.
So
It's like it almost looks like a color blast card. Let me see this thing.
okay.
Look at this thing. That's pretty cool. Get a picture of that. So I mean, as you guys know, it's Stadium Club. It's just a fun rip. It's not breaking the bank. You're not spending $500, $1,000 a box. 2 autos, a lot of fun. As Jeff is, got smiles on his face right now.
Yeah.
Just some other wax that's coming out this week. People should know about. Of course, we have National Treasures Collegiate Football, which is a high-end product for collegiate football. It has guys like Ewers and just a lot of the current guys that are hot in terms of collegiate football. But also this year they combine National Treasures and Flawless, so they're using a kind of a hybrid approach, and they're going to have both franchises inside this. So it's going to be unique. It comes out. It's a 1-box pack or a 1-pack box. And National Treasure is always kind of that creme de la creme, really pretty card. So looking forward to that with breaks. And again, it's not too much. I think it's settled around $600. You can buy all these things off Meelypops.com, Meelypops.com. We have all these things on our websites. But another fun release. There's a Revolution Basketball Hobby Winter tin coming out. So some Wembies with some snow in the background, probably. 23-24 Impeccable Soccer, 2024 Select. WWE, and then one I like to delve into non-sports here and there because I don't want to forget that community. It's such a huge community. We just went through, I think it was 53 boxes in one night, Jeff.
Wow.
Of Star Wars Chrome Galaxy on the release night, and then I think we did another 15 or 20 the next night. But there's a big release in the Pokemon world because for Pokemon TCG, and we've had Pokemon guests on before, the modern Pokemon sets have been a little stale, right? They haven't had as much value. And so they've come out with this new set called Surging Sparks, and they've got their Mickey Mantle on the front. His name's Pikachu. But this set has actually been a super, super sought after. Most Pokemon sets, when they come out, they're about 110, 115. This one is starting at 165.
Okay.
So there's a lot of chases in it. I know a lot of kids are super excited about the characters. And these cards, we talk about how beautiful these cards are. Some of the cards that come out of this, you look at it and you're like, that's like art, So another big release for the non-sports world. And there's even the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy Series 3 coming out, which will have, I believe, Chris Pratt's first autograph on a card for Star-Lord. So that'll be another interesting release. But Wax is always popping. There's always stuff going on with Wax. And a lot of releases in this season of life right now, Jeff.
Yeah, that is really fun. It'd be cool if they did like an MP3 player, a little cassette tape or something with Chris Pratt. Like
yeah.
Since he was the music guy.
A playlist card or something.
That'd be a lot of fun. Well, cool. Yeah, always great wax. And again, great knowledge. Again, learning all the things that we did today. So we learned to maybe wait a little bit or at least tell that significant other or mom and dad that, hey, you want some Shohei stuff for Christmas? That could be a good thing. And certainly wait till Black Friday because local card shops like the Meelypop shop and all these other great ones around the country are going to give you some deals. So yeah. Make sure you get after it and make it happen. And I don't play Jameel in fantasy this week, so he can't lose. So that is at least a good thing.
I'm not going to live this down. Both matchups I've lost to Jeff in both leagues. So we'll have to change that up. Maybe we'll meet up in the playoffs. I can pay you back a little bit.
And you would certainly do that. That's the way it is. All right. Well, appreciate everybody for being a part of things today. Again, if you like it, tell your friends about it. So many ways to listen and follow and watch all the cool things that we're trying to do. 23 episodes in now, and of course, if you didn't know and you haven't figured it out by now, of course, that is Michael Jordan.
There it is, the GOAT.
For Jameel, I am Jeff. We'll talk to you next week on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.